Hare Krishna, Dandra Pranam Mataji.
And with pranams.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for joining and giving your valuable time. So, dear devotees, today is day 13th of our Srimad Bhagavatam reading challenge. And today the topic is Bali Maharaj and Vamanadev pastimes. So today's talk will be given by His Grace Puskar Prabhu. But before I hand over the call to him, it's my great privilege and honor to glorify Prabhu to give a brief introduction. So His Grace Puskar Prabhu is an initiated disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He has had a prolific career in an ISKCON artist, working on ISKCON projects in many different countries. His paintings are exhibited in ISKCON temples around the world. And in 1989, he moved to Alachua, USA, where he lives with his family. A book on his life and art has recently published, and it is named as Windows to the Spiritual World, Spiritualism and the Art of Puskar. So on behalf of ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya in North America, let's all welcome our today's renowned speaker, His Grace Puskar Das Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you for your valuable time. Thank you for your valuable association. And now you can please take over. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada.
You have to unmute, Puskar Prabhu.
Okay. All right, now you hear me.
Yes, Prabhu, but not very clearly.
No.
Can you come closer? Maybe closer.
I'll put in a different microphone. Let me see.
Nice to see you, Mother Kirtidar Sundari Devi.
Is this the microphone better?
Yes.
Okay. So my book came out in 1997. If it says recently, that's not recently.
I'm sorry, Prabhu. The introduction that was given
You were
to
just reading that off a thing.
Yeah. Sorry,
So
please.
I'll
No, but
show
you are eternal. You are
Yes,
eternal, so it's recently.
Jai. Thank
Here's
you.
a picture from the 8th canto that I did.
Mhm.
This Bali with Prahlad and Sukracharya.
Oh,
Jai.
you painted that. Wow.
But yeah, of course, there were 7 paintings, but I only did one. And this one came in the book before, which I am also looking. This is the Matsya Avatar. Okay. So, this is a really long story. I couldn't even in a million years, sum that up in 1 hour, like nobody. Because Bhagavatam, yeah, well, this starts here. It starts really with chapter 16, and it goes all the way to 24, 5, So I'll just read summary of 16 and see if I can say anything. I didn't see the format, so you can correct me if I'm doing anything wrong. I didn't do kirtan. If you want, I can do Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So in 16th chapter is called Payovrata, process of worship. And this Payovrata because Aditi and Kasyapa. Described here, Mother Aditi, the mother of Devas, was very afflicted. Her husband, Kasyapa Muni, told her how to observe vows in austerity for the benefit of her sons. So the Devas were not visible in the heavenly kingdom because Bali Maharaj had taken over. That's described before this. One day, after many, many years, the great sage Kasyapa emerged from a trance of meditation and returned to his ashram. Imagine that. He was gone for many, many years. He saw that the ashram was no longer beautiful. His wife was very morose. Elsewhere in the ashram, he saw signs of lamentation. The great sage inquired from his wife about the well-being of the ashram and asked her why she looked so morose. After Aditi informed Kashyapa about the ashram's well-being, she told him she was lamenting for the absence of her sons. She then requested him to tell her how her sons could return and reoccupy their position. She wanted all good fortune for her sons. Moved by Aditi's request, Kasyapa Muni instructed her in the philosophy of self-realization, the difference between matter and spirit, and how to be unaffected by material loss. But when he saw Aditi was not satisfied even after he gave all those instructions, he advised her to worship Vasudeva Janardana. He assured her that only Vasudeva could satisfy her and fulfill all her desires. When Aditi then expressed her desire to worship Vasudeva, Prajapati Kashyapa told her about the process of worship known as Payobrata, which is executed in 12 days. Brahma had instructed him how to satisfy Krishna in this process. Thus, he advised his wife to observe the vow and its regular principle. Now, this chapter 16 has 62 verses, actually, 62, but it is very detailed how she was instructed. Just to give some example, there at the end, there's prayers by Lord Brahma, and in the middle, there's prayers that she offers, and she's praying to Lord Shiva. Namah Shivaya Rudraya, Namah Shakti Taraya Cha, like that. I mean, this is very amazing because we do things like this when we have our installation of a temple. One of the things in this Payobrata, besides drinking only milk and bathing the deity with milk and offering milk and sweet rice and rice cooked in milk and gore, that you take some mud, some dirt that is dug up by the boar on the day of the dark moon, smear the dirt on your body, and then bathe in the flowing river. While bathing, one should chant this mantra. And then it's all about that mantra of the earth. So it's very detailed. Install a deity. You have to install a deity in the bright fortnight of the month of Falgun, February and March, for 12 days, ending with Dvadashi. Observe the vow of subsisting only on milk and worship the lotus-eyed. And Prabhupada mentions that some people, after Ekadashi on Dwadashi, they only take milk also. And of course, there's other vows you can do before Ekadashi. Most people are not following all the details. So all the things that you will offer, it's detailed. You have to be very strict. One should silently murmur this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, 108 times, and offer prayers to the Lord for glorification. Then circumambulate the Lord, finally with great delight and satisfaction offer obeisance to the soul. This is a very strict vow that she followed to try to get her son. What happened, though, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared to her. So, and you have to distribute prasadam to brahmanas, everyone, poor man, blind man, non-devotee, non-brahmana, everyone. Knowing that Vishnu is very pleased when everyone is sumptuously fed with Vishnu prasad, the performer of this yajna should then take prasad with his friends and relatives. Every day from Patipat to Trayodashi, one should continue the ceremony to the accompaniment of dancing, singing, and beating of a drum. In other words, Sankirtan Harinam. The chanting of the prayers and all auspicious mantras and recitation of Bhagavatam is mentioned even. Bhagavatam. Katabi. Prabhupada translated Tat Katabi. by reciting Bhagavatam, Gita, and similar literature. So this is all part of the Bhayavrata that Aditi did to attain Vamana as her son. All right. Then at the end, the prayers are offered by Lord Brahma himself. Very nice. So that was a summary, a quick summary of chapter 16, which leads us, of course, to our 17th chapter. The 17th chapter is called The Lord Agrees to Become Aditi's Son. As explained in this chapter, the personality of Godhead, being very pleased by Payavrata ceremony performed by Aditi, appeared before her in full opulence. At her request, the Lord agreed to become her son. After she performed the Payavrata for 12 continuous days, the Lord certainly very pleased and appeared before her with 4 hands dressed in yellow garments. As soon as Aditi saw the personality of Godhead present, she immediately got up with great ecstatic love. I think there's a picture here. Let's see. Of this situation. This picture. Radharani painted that one. I watched her paint it. Very good painting. And all the different artists, I have to remember all of them. Deer got painted. That one, Vamana, with Bali tied up. And this one, Jayaram, he's now dead and gone. He did this one. It shows Vamana's universal form. He painted a very careful style with a tiny little brush, and he used to grind his own paint. Had a different style. He did a famous drawing of Dhanvantari. This one is done by Dhriti, showing Vamana sitting with his umbrella. Cover painting is done by Parikshit. Appearance of Vamana. Okay. Continuing with our little summary. There's it says, she fell to the ground off the obeisance. Her throat was choked because of ecstatic feelings. Her entire body trembled with devotion. Although she wanted to offer the suitable prayers, she could not do it. Anything, thus she remained silent. Then, feeling solace, observing the beauty of the Lord, she offered the prayers. The personality of God, the super soul of all living entities, was very pleased with her. He agreed to become her son by incarnating as a plenary expansion. He was already pleased by Kashyapa Muni's austerities. Thus he agreed to become their son and maintain the demigods. Giving his word of honor to this effect, the Lord disappeared. Following the order of the personality of God, Aditi engaged in service of Kashyapa, who could see by samadhi that the Lord was within him and who thus placed semen in the womb of Dev. Now, Prabhupada gives a big purport explaining how it is not ordinary birth at all. It reminds me that in Chaitanya Bhagavat, that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he has like a 22 pages purport when Lakshmi Priya had left her body, and so she did not have an ordinary body. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he said, well, here are some verses to explain this, and he wrote like maybe 100 verses. Each page has about 5, 6 verses on it, and so I'm pretty sure Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was a vast pundit. He could just write a purport like that. So Prabhupada wrote a little bit similar, small purport explaining about that this is not a material thing, it's a little different. Okay. The personality of God had became visible to Aditi's eyes. She was so overwhelmed. She stood up and fell to the ground like a rod. She then offered prayers. We just heard about that. After observing the Payavrata, Aditi was certain the Lord had appeared before her as Ramapati, the husband of the goddess of fortune, just to offer her sons all opulence. Vishvaya Bhavanastiti Sanyamaya Sparangrahita Purushakti Gunaya Bhumne Swastaya Shashkar Upabrunhita Purna Bodha Vyapadita Matamase Haraye Namaste. You are the all-pervading universal form, the fully independent creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the universe. Although you engage your energy in matter, you're always situated in your original form and never fall from that position. For your knowledge is infallible and always suitable to any situation. You are never bewildered by illusion. Oh, my Lord, let me offer respectful obeisances to you. So then Prabhupada quotes, Siddhanta bolya chitte nakoro alas, ihahoite Krishna lage sutre damana. Anyone trying to become fully Krishna conscious must know the Lord's glories as far as they are possible to understand. Here Ajiti hints at these glories. The universe is nothing but the external potency of the Lord. This is confirmed in Gita 9:4. Maya chatam idam sarvam jagadabhaktamurtina. So the verse probably quoted in Adi Lila 2 means that one should not be lazy, alas. One should not be lazy to understand the Siddhanta, which is what Aditi is showing here by offering these prayers. O King Parikit, Sukadev said, when the lotus-eyed Lord, the supersoul of all living entities, was thus worshipped by Aditi, he replied as follows. Mother of the demigods, I have already understood your long-cherished desire for the welfare of your sons, who have been deprived of all opulences and driven from their residence by their enemies. O Devi, O goddess, I can understand. You want to regain your sons and be together with them to worship me after defeating the enemies in battle and retrieving your abode in opulence. You want to see the wives of the demons lament for the death of their husbands. When those demons, the enemies of your sons, are killed in battle by the demigods, of whom Indra is the chief. You want your sons to regain their lost reputation and opulence and live again on their heavenly planet as usual. In my opinion, almost all the chiefs of the demons are now unconquerable, for they are being protected by brahmanas, whom the Supreme Lord always favors. Thus, the use of power against them will not at all be a source of happiness. Purport, when a person is favored by brahmanas and Vaishnavas, no one can defeat him. So this is interesting because even though they're Bali Maharaj, of course, he became Mahajan, but he was being protected by the brahmanas. And the Prabhupada quotes, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagat Hitaya. Therefore, if Brahmanas favors them, that even Supreme Personality of God is telling her that it's going to be very difficult to, he's almost discouraging it. But then he says, yet, because I've been satisfied by the activities of your vow, I must find some means to favor you, for worship of me never goes in vain, but certainly gives a desired result, according to what one deserves. And it's fallen out of the room here. I don't know. I hung up on her. That was Malati. Hare Krishna. You have prayed to me properly and worshiped me by performing the great Payo Brata for the sake of protecting your sons. I shall agree to become your son and thus protect your other son. Okay, so we hear that. Kashyapa, whose vision is never mistaken, could see that a plenary portion of the personality of God had entered within him. When Lord Brahma understood the personality of God was now within the womb of Aditi, he began to offer prayers to the Lord, reciting transcendental names. Well, so Brahma offered prayers in the last chapter. Now again, he is offering prayers. So we have so many prayers of Lord Brahma. The most famous that we have are the Brahma Samhita and 40 some odd prayers in 10th canto in the 14th chapter, and in the prayers in 3rd canto, 9th chapter for creative energy. Those are big. But in other places we see here twice already in this. So within this history, this story, we're getting Brahma's prayers again, and we get them in other cantos. Namaste Prishni Garbhaya Veda Garbhaya Veda Zay Trinabhaya Tri Prishtaya Shipi Vishtaya Vishnave Shipi Vishtaya, who are within the cores of the hearts of all living entities. That's what that means. Vishnave. Vishnave means, of course, the all-pervading Vishnu. I offer respectful obeisances to you, the all-pervading Vishnu, who have entered the cores of the hearts of all living entities. All the three worlds reside within your navel, yet you are above the three worlds. Like that, formerly you appeared as Prishni. All right. And then those prayers by Brahmaji. Now, chapter 18 is summarized. Lord Vamanadev, it's called chapter 18. This chapter describes how Lord Vamana appeared and how he went to the sacrificial arena of Bali, who received him well and fulfilled his desire by offering him benediction. So he appeared, Vamanadev, in the womb of Aditi, completely equipped with conch, disc, club, and lotus. His bodily hue was blackish, and he was dressed in yellow garments. He appeared at the auspicious moment on Shravan Dvadashi, Abhijit. This is called Vijay. After his appearance, he assumed the form of a dwarf, Vamana. All the great sages expressed jubilation. With Kashyapa Muni before them, they performed a birthday ceremony. The sacred thread was given by the sun god Brihaspati. And Lord Brahma, Kuvera, the seven rishis, and others gave all these gifts. He then immediately went and visited the sacrificial arena on the northern side of the Narmada River, at the field known as Bhrigu Kacha, where Brahmanas of the Bhrigu dynasty were performing yajna, wearing a belt made of munja straw, an upper garment of deerskin, a sacred thread, and carrying in his hands a dunda, umbrella, and water pot. Lord Vamana appeared in the sacrificial arena of Bali. Because of his transcendental effulgent presence, all the priests were diminished in their prowess. Okay. We're going to read some of these slokas. Lord Brahma spoke, and there was a beautiful garland. At that time, there was happiness in all directions. Disha Prasedu. On the night of Shravana Dvadashi, O king, when the Lord appeared on Dvadashi, the sun was at the meridian. As every learned scholar knows, this Dvadashi is called Vijaya. Conch shells, kettle drums, panavas, and anakas vibrated in concert. The sound of these and various other instruments was tumultuous. Tumalo. We get that word in the Bhagavad Gita. This word tumultuous comes from there, tumalo. Very pleased, the celestial apsaras were dancing. Manos and Pitas, fire gods, offered prayers. Siddhas, Vidyadhars, the best of serpents. They all showered flowers. And when Aditi saw the personality of Godhead who appeared from her own womb, having accepted a transcendental body by his own spiritual potency, she was struck with wonder and was very happy. Prajapati Kashyapa exclaimed, Jai, Jai, in great happiness and wonder. So that sloka, let's see. Chaha Jaiti Vishmita. Prajapati Chaha Jaiti Vishmita means astonished. The Lord appeared as an original form with ornament, weapons in his hands. Although the ever-existing form is not visible in the material world, he nonetheless appeared in this form. Then, in the presence of his father and mother, he assumed the form of a Brahman dwarf Vamana, brahmachari, just like a theatrical. Bhatu. Bhatu means a small boy, brahmachari. Prabhupada says here that nata is significant. An actor changes dress to play different parts. He is always the same man. It's described in Brahma Samhita 533. He met thousands and thousands of Advaita Machuti Manadimananta Rupam. That verse is quoted. Ramadi Morteshu Kalani, also quoted. And we can think of Kunti's prayer, Nato Nachidaro Yata. There's so many prayers, and one of them says like that, Mudha Visha. And she says they're like dancing. Maya Jamani Kachana Magya Hoksa Jamavam. Although you're covered by the illusory curtain, Maya Javani Kach, and and Jamajamanikachan, Ajam, and Mudha. Those people who are Mudas, they can't see. You're dancing Nato, the same word is used there. Right. At the sacred ceremony, Vamanadev, the sun god, personally uttered the Gayatri. Brihaspati offered the sacred thread, and Kashyapa offered a straw belt. All those things are given. And interestingly enough, he got Rudraksha beads, Saraswati, by Saraswati. Brahma gave him a water pot. So he has a water pot. Then, having been welcomed by everyone, Vamanadev, the best of brahmacharis, exhibited his Brahman effulgence. Thus he surpassed in beauty the entire assembly, which was filled with great saintly. While engaged in performing sacrifice at the field in Bhrigu Kacha on the northern bank of Narmada, the Brahminical priest saw Vamanadev to be like the rising sun nearby. Because of his bright effulgence, the priests and Bali, all the members of the assembly, were robbed of their splendor. Thus they began to ask each other, who is this? Sanat Kumar, the fire god? They had no idea. They talked and argued in different ways. Vamanadev, holding in his hand the rod, the umbrella, and a water pot full of water, entered the arena of the Ashvamedha sacrifice. He was wearing his belt of straw. He diminished the brilliance of all these priests and their disciples who stood from their seats and welcomed him. Bali Maharaj, jubilant, seeing Vamanadev, offered him a seat with great satisfaction. Bali Maharaj then said to Vamana, "O Brahman, I offer you my hearty welcome and my respectful obeisance. Please let us know what we may do for you. We think of you as personified austerity of the great Brahmana sages. O my Lord, because you have kindly arrived at our home, all my forefathers are satisfied, our whole dynasty. Today, the fire of sacrifice is ablaze according to the injunction of the Shastra, and I've been freed from all sinful reaction of my life by the water that washed your lotus feet. Lord, by the touch of your small lotus feet, this entire surface of the world has been sanctified. Chata punita tanubi padaishtava." Nice word, explains all what we just read in English, a small lotus feet. Chata tanubi. Tanubi means small. Padai, the touch of your lotus feet. Pava. This ends. So at first, Bali says, "It appears you have come here to ask me for something. Therefore, whatever you want, you can take from me. O best of those who are worshipable, take from me a cow, gold, furnished house, palatable food, drink, daughter of a Brahmin for your wife." He's just a little boy, but he's offering him a wife. "Prosperous villages, horses, elephants, chariots, whatever you desire." And there's a big list given. Ratang tatar tamasam paticha itcha paticha. Whatever you want. Sam, everything. Anything you want. Gajan, Raptam, like that. Grama, villages. Chapter 19, Vamanadev begs charity. This describes how Bali agreed to this proposal and how Sukracharya forbade Bali. Because Vamana only asked for 3 pieces of land, but Bali agreed, but Sukracharya forbade him. Bali, thinking Vamana to be the son of a Brahmin, told him to ask anything. Okay, so Sukadeva Goswami is describing. When he heard Bali speaking in this pleasing way, he was very satisfied. But Bali had spoken in terms of religious principles. Thus the Lord began to praise him. Personality of God said, "King, you are so exalted because your present advisors are Brahmanas who are descendants of Bhrigu. And because your instructor for future life is your grandfather, the venerable Prahlad Maharaj, your statements are very true, and they completely agree with religious etiquette." Prahlad is a vivid, Prabhupada said, Prahlad is a vivid example of a pure devotee. Although he was very old, seems attached to his family and specifically to his grandson, Bali. How could he be such an example? Therefore, this verse uses the word Prashanta, a devotee is always sober. He's never disturbed. Even if a devotee remains in Grahastha life and does not renounce material possession, he should still be understood to be Prashanta, sober, because of his devotion. Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasi, Shudra Keninai, Hey Krishna Tattva Veta, She Guru Hoy. Whether you're a Brahmin, sannyasi, or Shudra, regardless, he can become Guru. Like that. Anyway, so Prabhupada's quoting that. Here, Vamanadev also teaches sannyasis and brahmacharis that one should not ask more than necessary. Only 3 pieces of land, although Bali wanted to give him anything he wanted. And then Vamanadev is praising Bali. Even today, no one has ever taken birth in your family who never gave charity like that. And he gives all the symptoms of how magnanimous the Kshatriyas are. Probably quotes Bhagavad Gita, Dana, Patigraha, Dana, and so many descriptions. Hiranyakashipu is mentioned here. This is even being spoken by Vamana. When Hiranyakashipu heard the news of his brothers being killed, he went to the residence of Vishnu. So he's actually even glorifying them. And Vishnu thought, wherever I go, Hiranyakashipu will follow me as death follows all entities. Therefore, it is better for me to enter the core of his heart. Vamana continued, O king of demons, after Vishnu made this decision, he entered the body of his enemy, Hiranyakashipu, who was running after him with great force. In a subtle body inconceivable to Hiranyakashipu, Vishnu was in great anxiety, entered Hiranyakashipu's nostril. It says here the word Vigna Cheta, very anxious, is significant. It is not that Vishnu was afraid of Hiranyakashipu, rather because of compassion. Vishnu was anxiety how to act for Hiranyakashipu's welfare. Hiranyakashipu screamed loudly. He searched the entire universe, including the surface of the earth, the higher planetary systems, because he was angry because his brother had been killed. So he wanted to kill Vishnu. I have searched the entire universe. I could not find Vishnu, who has killed my brother. Therefore, he must certainly have gone to that place where no one returns. He must now be dead. And Prabhupada says in that purport, atheists generally follow the Buddha philosophy conclusion that at death everything is finished. Hiranyakashipu, being an atheist, thought this way because Lord Vishnu was not visible to him. He thought the Lord was dead. Many people follow this. Prabhupada says, okay. Onward in this chapter 19. Your father Varocham, the son of Maharaj Prahlad, was very affectionate toward Brahmanas, although he knew very well that it was the demigods who had come to him in the dress of Brahmanas. At their request, he delivered to them the duration of his life. Okay, you also have observed the principles followed by great personalities. So he's glorifying Bali Maharaj. And then again, O king, controller of the entire universe, although you are very magnificent, able to give me as much land as I want, I do not want anything from you that is not necessary. If a learned Brahmana takes charity from others only according to his needs, he does not become entangled in sinful activity. Prabhupada says, a Brahmana or sannyasi is qualified to ask charity from others, but if he takes more than necessary, he is punishable. No one can use more of the Supreme Lord's property than necessary. Tena chaktena bunjitaha. All property belongs to the personality of God. This principle should be especially followed by Brahmins and sannyasis who live at the cost of others. Thus, Vamanadev was an ideal beggar. He asked only 3 pieces of land, of course. Now Bali said, O son of Brahmana, your instructions are as good as those of learned and elderly persons. Nonetheless, you're a boy. Your intelligence is insufficient. Thus, you are not very prudent in regard to your self-interest. Although the personality of Godhead, Prabhupada says, being full in himself, actually has nothing want for self-interest, Vamanadev therefore had not gone to Bali for his own interest. As stated in Gita, Bhoktam Yugatapasam Sarvalokamaheshwaram. He is the proprietor of all planets and everything else. Why would he in want of anything, land or anything? Bali had rightly said that Vamanadev was not at all prudent to his own personal interests, because Vamana had approached Bali not for his personal welfare, but for the welfare of his devotees. Devotees sacrifice all personal interest to satisfy the personality of Godhead. So the personality of Godhead, having no personal interest, can do anything for the interest of a devotee. One who is full of himself has no personal interest. I'm able to give you an entire island. I am the proprietor of the 3 divisions of the universe. You have come to take something from me and have pleased me. But you're asking for 3 places of land, therefore you're not so intelligent. He says, Abudima, 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 Dvipada Shusham. I can give you the entire island. According to Vedic understanding, the entire universe is regarded as an ocean of space. In that ocean, there's innumerable planets, and each is called a Dvipa island. Okay. Now, this verse. Oh, small boy, one who approaches me to beg something should not have to ask anything more anywhere. Therefore, if you wish, you may ask from me as much land as will suffice to maintain you according to your needs. Now, first thing, a very wonderful verse, 21, chapter 19. Yavanto vishaya preshta filokyamajatendriyam nashakplavanti te sarve pratipuraitum nipa. The personality of God said, my dear king, even the entirety of whatever there may be within the 3 worlds to satisfy one's senses cannot satisfy a person whose senses are uncontrolled. Purport. It says, Trilokyam Ajatendriyam, the 3 world, one who is Ajatendriyam. The material world is an illusory energy to deviate the living entity from the path of self-realization. Anyone in the material world is extremely anxious to get more and more things. Then probably quote through Shabdev here. Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma yarindriya prityapnanoti nasadu manye yatatmanoyam asannapi kleshida shadeha. When a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad. Pramatta. He does not know that due to his past misdeeds, he has already received a body which, although temporary, is the cause of his misery. So that verse is invoked there. That's 554, Rishabdev's verse. To teach the highest culture of Varnashram is recommended. The aim of Varnashram is to train one to control senses and to be content with bare necessities. So he says, someone cannot be happy if he possesses the property of the entire world, the entire universe. In human society, therefore, Brahminical culture, Kshatriya culture, and Vaishya culture must be maintained, and people must be taught how to be satisfied with only what they need. Krishna conscious movement is therefore establishing various farms, especially in America, to show how to be happy and content with minimum necessities of life. Of course, since that time now, I have many good farms all over the world, which one can very easily achieve by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Tribi kramara santusto vipenapi napuryate navavarsha sametena saptadvipa varichaya. If I were not satisfied with 3 paces of land, then surely I wouldn't be satisfied even with possessing one of the 7 islands consisting of 9 varshas. Even if I possess one island, I would hope to get the others. We have heard that although powerful kings like Prithu and Gaya achieved proprietorship over the 7 dweepas, they could not achieve satisfaction or find the end of their ambition. One should be satisfied with whatever he achieved by his previous destiny, for discontent can never bring happiness. A person who is not self-controlled will not be happy with possessing the 3 worlds. So Prabhupada here quoting Prahlad Maharaj, Shukama Indriyakam Taitya Deha Yogena Dehinam Sarvata Labhyate Daivadyata Dukamayatnataha, where Prahlad is preaching to his schoolmates born in demoniac families that the happiness from getting sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form according to one's past fruitive activities. It is automatically obtained without endeavor as we obtain distress. That's 763. Then he quotes 6th chapter of the Gita, 21 verse, 21st. Sukama yantikam yattad buddhi grahyam matindriyam vetiyatna chaivayam stitas chalatita. In the spiritually joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness. He enjoys himself through transcendental. Then at the end of the purport, well, he quotes several more verses. Sarva parivanir muktam tat paratena. At the end, he quotes tapo divyam putraka yena sattam shuddhyasmat brahmasokyam tanantam. That's again Rishabdev 551. One must practice austerity so that his existential position will be purified and he will achieve unlimited blissful life. All right. Material existence causes discontent. This is again Vamana. Material existence causes discontent in regard to fulfilling one's lusty desires and achieving more and more money. This is a cause for continuation of material life, which is full of repeated birth and death. But one is satisfied by that which is obtained by destiny is fit for liberation from the material existence. A Brahman who is satisfied with whatever is providentially obtained is increasingly enlightened with spiritual power, but the spiritual potency of a dissatisfied Brahmana decreases as fire diminishes in potency when water is sprinkled upon it. Therefore, O king, from you, the best of who give charity, I ask only 3 paces of land. By such a gift, I shall be very pleased. For the way of happiness is to be fully satisfied to receive that which is absolutely needed. Vittam yavat prayojanam. Sukadeva Goswami saying, Shukadev saying, when the personality of God had thus spoken to Bali, Bali smiled and told him, okay, take whatever you like. To confirm his promise to give Vamanadev the desired land, he then took up his water pot. Understanding the Lord's purpose, Shukracharya, the best of the learned, immediately spoke as follows to his disciple who was about to offer everything to Vamana. Shukracharya said, oh, son of Birochana, this brahmachari in the form of a dwarf is directly Bhagavan Vishnu Abhyaya. Bhagavan Vishnu. He knows it. He knows it. Shukracharya knows it. Accepting Kashyapa as his father, Aditi and his mother, he has now appeared in order to fulfill the interests of the Devas. Now, Shukracharya is very worried he'll get out of a job. He'll be out of a job. You don't know what a dangerous position you have accepted by promising to give him land. I don't think this promise is good for you. It will bring great harm to the demons. Great harm to the demons. Mahanupakato. Anaya, inauspicious. He thinks it's going to be inauspicious. Ajanata, you have no knowledge. Nasadu, won't be good. Right there. Okay. This person falsely appearing as a brahmachari is actually the personality of God, Hari, who takes everything away. He has come in this form to take all your land, wealth, beauty, power, fame, education. After taking it, he will deliver it to Indra, your enemy. Vishwanath Chakravarti explains in this regard the very word Hari means who takes away. If one connects himself with Hari, the Lord takes away all his miseries. The Lord said to Maharaj Yudhisthira in 1088, my first installment of mercy toward the devotees I take away. Prabhupada used to quote that in regard to himself. This is a special favor. Tribir kramari malokan vishpah kaya kramishyati sarashpam vishnave datpa mura varisase katang. You have promised to give him 3 steps of landed charity, but when you give it, he will occupy the 3 worlds. Just see here, Shukracharya knows. You are a rascal. Mudha varisase katang. He calls him Mudha. You rascal. What? You do not know what a great mistake you have made. After giving everything to Vishnu, you will have no means of livelihood. How then will you live? Bali might argue that he had promised only 3 steps of land, but Sukra, being very learned Brahman, immediately understood this was a plan of Hari, who had falsely appeared thereby as a brahmachari. There's the word mudha vartisyase katam. Vartisyase. That Shukracharya was a Brahman of the priestly class. Such priestly Brahmins are mostly interested in receiving remuneration. Okay. He will first occupy the 3 worlds with 1 step, then he will take his second step and occupy everything. He's already predicting it, so he knows. He's scared. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Then what will he do with his third step? Sukracharya wanted to warn Bali that he will be cheated by Vamana. Chalayasi Vikramane. I think that song by Jaydev starts with Chalayasi, cheated Bali. Keshava Vita Vamana. By with only 2 steps, all your possessions will be finished. How then will you give him a place for the third step? He did not know the Lord protects his devotees. Okay. You'll certainly be unable to fulfill the promise, I think, because of this inability. Your eternal residence will be in hell. It does go downward, but not to hell. Learned scholars do not praise that charity which endangers your own livelihood. Just see now, he's using all his arguments. Charity, sacrifice, austerity, fruitive activities are possible. They're not possible for one who cannot maintain himself. Therefore, one with full knowledge should divide his accumulated wealth in 5 parts: religion, reputation, opulence, sense gratification, and maintenance of his family members. Such a person is happy in this world and the next. Rupa Goswami taught us by his own example, probably what he did with the money, 25% for the members of his family. So we always get a lesson. At the end of this, then Sukracharya gives us a famous verse about the holy name. So one might argue that since you've already promised, one might argue.
Priti.
Hello? Hello? With somebody. Or you might argue that since you have already promised, how could you refuse? O best of demons. He goes, Asura Sattama. Just take from me the evidence of the Vricha Shruti, which says that a promise is truthful, preceded by the word Om, and untruthful if not. He's saying, because you didn't say Om, you don't have to fulfill this. Okay. Okay, so when a tree is uprooted, it immediately falls and begins to dry up. Similarly, if one doesn't take care of the body, which is supposed to be untruth, in other words, if the untruth is uprooted, the body undoubtedly becomes dry. All right, so then there's a big quote. The Vedas therefore enjoin, and there's like a 6 Sanskrit prose. The purport is that the activities performed with the help of the body for the satisfaction of the absolute truth, Om Tat Sat, are never temporary. Like that. The utterance of the word Om signifies separation from one's monetary assets. In other words, by uttering this word, one becomes free from attachment to money because his money is taken away. To be without money is not very satisfactory. For that position, one cannot fulfill one's desires. So he's probably gives big purport here about this. That Maharaj Bali wanted to give everything to Vamana, who had appeared as a beggar, but Sukracharya, his familial guru in the line of seminal succession, could not appreciate his promise. He gave Vedic evidence that one should not give to a poor man. Rather, when a poor man comes for charity, one should be untruthful and say, whatever I've given you, I have no more. It's not that one should give everything to him. So all these different funny arguments, actually. The best solution is that Krishna consciousness movement, we're always kind to the poor, not only because it feeds them, but also we give them enlightenment. So, therefore, the safe course is to say no. Although it is false, it protects you completely. It draws compassion from others toward yourself. It gives one full facility to collect money from others for oneself, nonetheless. Now, chapter 20. In the end of that chapter 19, in flattering a woman, bringing her under control, in joking, in the marriage, in earning your livelihood, when one's life is in danger, in protecting cow and Brahminical culture, or in protecting a person from an enemy's hand, falsity is never condemned. He's pushing falsity. Jugupsitam. It's not Jugupsitam. Amritam. He's a Brahmin, but he's pushing falsity. That doesn't sound too good. So this chapter 20, Bali Maharaj became contemplative. What to do? Okay, let's read through. We don't have that much time. When Bali was thus advised by his guru Sukracharya, his family priest, he remained silent. Then, after full deliberation, he replied to his guru as follows. Now, in this chapter, this purport is more than one page, probably quotes from the Mahabharata. Guru apyaviliptasya karya majanata utpattapati pannasya patyago vidiyate. Jiva Goswami has advised that such a useless guru, family priest, acting should be given up, and that the proper guru should be accepted. Aviliptasya. He's ajanata, means he's not in knowledge. Karyaka. He doesn't know what to do, what not to do. Utpatta, he's simply causing a disturbance. Parityago over these. Give him up. Give him up. There you go. And then another verse is quoted. Sat Kamanepano Vipramantatanta Vishara Vaishnava Guru. You should give up a Vaishnava Guru, Vaishnava, and accept a Vaishnava, even if he is a dog, even if a person born in a family of lower caste, a Vaishnava Swapachara Guru. Bali said, as you have already stated, the principle of religion that does not hinder the economic development, I also think this religious principle is correct. I am the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. How can I withdraw my promise because of greed for money when I have already said, I shall give this land? How can I behave like an ordinary cheater, especially toward a Brahmana? There's nothing more sinful than untruthfulness. Because of this, Mother Earth once said, I can bear any heavy thing except a person who is a liar. I don't fear hell, poverty, an ocean of distress, fall down from my position, even death as much as I fear cheating a Brahmana. These are some of the famous quotes. The Dicchis, now he's talking about the Dicchi Muni and Shivi that gave up their bodies. They're willing to sacrifice their lives. All best of Brahmanas, certainly the great demoniac kings who were never reluctant to fight, enjoyed this world, but in due course of time, everything they had was taken away, except their reputation by which they continued to exist. In other words, one should try to achieve a good reputation instead of anything else. In this regard, Chanakya Pandit Prabhupada says, the duration of one's life is extremely short, but in that short of time, you can do something that enhances your reputation. He didn't actually quote that part of the verse. Let's see. No. Oh, best of Brahmanas, many men have laid down their lives on the battlefield, being unafraid of fighting, but rarely has one gotten the chance to give his accumulated wealth faithfully to saintly persons. And by giving charity, a benevolent and merciful person undoubtedly becomes even more auspicious, especially when he gives charity to a person like your good self. Under the circumstance, I must give the little brahmachari whatever charity he wants from me. And then he says, he's telling the guru, therefore, whether the same Lord Vishnu has come here to give me all benediction or punish me, I must carry out his order and give him the requested tract of land without hesitation. Then Prabhupada quotes Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the purport, Malavirakobi yochittohar nityadas yarika. He must be prepared to abide whether he is killed or protected. Although he is Vishnu himself, out of fear, he has covered himself in the form of a Brahman and came begging. And if this Brahman really is Vishnu, who is worshipable by Vedic hymns, he would never give up his widespread reputation. He would lie down, having been killed by me, or he would kill me in a fight. Sukadev said, thereafter, the Guru Sukracharya, being inspired by the Supreme Lord, cursed his exalted disciple Bali, who was so magnanimous and fixed in truthfulness. Instead of respecting his spiritual master's instruction, he wanted to disobey. Although you have no knowledge, you have become a so-called learned person. Therefore, you dare to be impudent and disobey my order. You shall very soon be bereft of all your opulence. And he didn't mind being cursed. Bali, the worshipper of Vamanadev, jubilantly washed his feet, took the water on his head. There's so many details here. Gandharvas and Kinnaras, all from the higher planets. So Prabhupada's praising Arjavam simplicity. So are we going to leave time for discussion? I don't think I can finish the entire story in 1 hour. It's just like 7, 8 chapters here. So if anybody has something to add to just to take away, or yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So we have one question by Rachna Mataji. The question is it possible that non-devotees may take advantage of a Vaishnava's saintly character? Should an aspiring Vaishnava try to protect themselves or just depend fully on Lord Krishna?
Should they try to protect themselves or, well, you know, Bali Maharaj is a big time example that he owed so much everything. If one is very poor, I mean, that's one of the things we can learn even from Sukracharya, that you can say, oh, no, you don't have any more, but that may be true too also if you nothing, you know, I didn't get the exact question of what, but if one is, I mean, the whole lesson is, of course, one should totally surrender. But in the case of Bali, you know, he was controlling the three worlds and the heavenly kingdoms and everywhere. So it's not the same as an ordinary person. Should they protect themselves? What was the question? Say it again.
The question is that should an aspiring Vaishnava try to protect themselves or just depend fully on Lord Krishna?
Protect themselves from what? I mean, of course, Prabhupada said, take an umbrella if there's rain. If you're sick, go to a doctor, take some type of medicine.
Yes.
Like that. We're not totally impractical. We don't, if someone is coming to you, try to kill you, of course you can protect yourself. That's true. The 6 kinds of aggressors, like someone is trying to kill, poison, burn your house, steal your things. So that's there. You know, if one is not a kshatriya, he may not be able to do much, but still. I mean, I heard their story that Sridhar Maharaj Prabhupada's godbrother was saying how when there was an attack on he probably was staying in his mutt in Navadvip, and some dacoits were said to about to attack. So probably being a chemist, he made some bombs out of like Molotov cocktail, you know, fire bombs with bottles and ready to throw. They didn't come. Fortunately, they didn't come. But Prabhupada had us. We had shotguns in Mayapur, and I remember. So yeah, of course we protect. We don't just say, okay, take this ashram, take these deities.
Yeah.
When there was attack by demons in New Vrindavan in 73, then Prabhupada said, especially with Radha Krishna, there should be some guards, some kshatriyas with guns. We don't let them get away.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Okay, dear devotees, anybody else has any question? Okay, Hemi Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam for this lovely class. I wonder, I have a question. The Shukracharya, because he was able to see Lord Krishna or Hari, would he qualify in one sense that he was a Vaishnava too?
Well, I mean, Krishna mentions him in Gita, Ushanam, Kavinam Ushanam. In 10th chapter of Gita, Ushina is another name of Sukracharya. And Krishna cites him as amongst the, I forget if it's sages, or think of Kavi, so he must have a special position. I mean, he's in the transcendental leelas, yeah.
Then why
He's
was he
playing his
giving this
playing his
kind of
part, you know.
advice? Okay, was Krishna.
Even Hiranyakashipu is giving advice to the lamenting relatives. They were lamenting over Hiranyaksha. Of course, he also was lamenting, but while he was lamenting, he gave a whole story about that King Ushina, King of Ushina, who died, and his wives were lamenting, and then Yamaraj came disguised as a boy, and gave them good lessons. So Prabhupada mentions how even Hiranyakashipu is giving good lessons. Even sometimes Kamsa gives some lessons, some shlokas that are practically quotable. We don't usually quote Kamsa and Hiranyakashipu, but Hiranyakashipu gets quoted though for his story. You know, I've seen that. And so, yeah, it's in the Bhagavatam. Vritrasura is a demon, I mean, after all. And he is taunting Indra. We chant the prayers of Vritrasura also. Very popular. I mean, I don't know that I know one or two, but some devotees are chanting now Vritrasura because he's a definitely devotee. Even Bali Maharaj is a demon. Even Prahlad Maharaj is a demon family. So that's a designation, isn't it? So Shukra, he's playing his part.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Thank you.
Vamana, anyone who's seeing Vamana, I mean, he can't be too bad. Although Hiranyakashipu was seeing the Vishnu, or wanted to catch Vishnu, he saw Nrsimhadev. He really got wiped out. He had a surgery, abdominal surgery. Anything else? Sorry, we couldn't finish this entire. I mean, it goes through chapter 20, and then he gets 21. He's arrested, and then he surrendered his life in 22. And I mean, it's impossible in an hour to do that. I mean, it's cheating. It's demigods regain the heavenly planets, and it's all part of the story.
No worries, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I know the topic was in detailed, but thank you for your wonderful class, wonderful association.
Yeah.
So Prabhuji, will, on your permission, with your permission, we'd like to end here.
All righty, that's good.
Dear
It's
devotees,
late.
so much for all of your association. See you all tomorrow with next session of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you so much.
Oh, Haribol, thank you.
Sindhu Bhai
One
Vacha.
And the Koti Vaishnav Vranda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, His Grace Pushkar Prabhuji ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, dear devotees. Please continue to join. We'll be ending the call here, and very grateful to you, Pushkar Prabhu, for coming on the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.